Hello, everyone. My name is Parminder Kaur, and I am a community success specialist at TaxCycle. And you have probably heard from me before if you have been to one of our webinars previously. I think now is a timely moment to review and learn a little bit about family returns in TaxCycle because it's going to be something that you run into every day. So, coupling returns and dependent returns, and I want to give you some tips and tricks about how to make that more efficient for you today. All right, so what we are covering today, today we are going to talk about family returns. We have 12 points of family return. We are going to learn about coupling, taxpayer, and spouse return. We are going to talk about dependent worksheet, dependent information versus full dependent tax return, and having them linked. Really like a little bit of optimization and where you can review them and adjust them. We are going to talk about coupling dependent returns, and that fancy when you have a multi-generational families. You need to know that that's possible and what you can do. Carrying forward family files, which is important if you're coming from software other than tax cycle, and detaching a return as family, detaching or uncoupling as a family situations changes. You need to know about that, and then we will review some of the other tools within a tax return that can help you get an overall view of couple or family tax situations. So, summaries, letters, and invoices options that can help you, and then transmitting a whole family return at the same time if you're filing or printing the whole family return at the same time. And that should take us about 45 minutes. So let's see where we are going to go with this. So what I'm going to do, I will share my screen and you will be able to see, and we will dive right into the tax cycle. So this is the screen. By now you know this if you have been using or working with tax cycle. So first thing we are going to do, we are actually going to create a return from scratch so that we are that can talk about what happens when you couple returns. So I'm going to create a new 2023 T1 return here. And this is a tax cycle with a menu here at the top. If you want to collapse it, you can do that. I'm going to do it just to give you more space on your screen. You can do that as well if you're working on small screen. And I am going to start out, and I'm using a development version with a few little tools behind the scene where I can generate a social insurance number that's valid. So I don't have to do a major math in my mind. So if you see me do that, you won't be able to do that. Of course, you won't need to do it either. So let's just give some birth date to this client here, and this could be 1970s, and we can give a title and name as John Smith. So answering all the few particular questions, and this is my principal taxpayer. And I want to mention that you're going to hear me use this terminology. So the first person in the file is the principal taxpayer. It does not matter if this person is a husband, wife, whoever you do it, whoever is the first person you put in the file is the principal taxpayer. Now you are going to couple a return. So you need to enter one of the status that allows for coupling. So it could be either married and common law are the most obvious. So I'm going to pick married here, and John is Canadian citizen, so I'm going to do that as well. So as soon as you choose married, I'm going to scroll it down here. And under the spouse area, you can see that it has lightened up, and you can collapse this area if you want to, or I can leave it open. And this enables all these questions related to the spouse. So first thing I want to say here is that even if you aren't doing a couple return and if person is married, you're going to have insert that information here. So I'm gonna get that spouse name here, and then we can give her last name here. So now we can make her a similar age. as of her husband. So we got it all here, and we will worry about social insurance number in a moment. So right now, I don't have a couple's return, but what I have is single taxpayer's return who has been identified or who has been indicated they are married. So now some people need to do this right. So there is some time when you are preparing both returns for both spouses. For example, a non-resident spouse. So if you're coupling a return and you're not preparing a full return for the spouse, you need to know about this worksheet. And if you will need to make the change, you will need to mention that they are non-resident. And for that, we will press F4, and then we will type in schedule 2 here. So we will be searching a lot of forums, schedules, or worksheets today. So for that, I will be using F4 a lot. So you will be seeing me that I'm hitting F4 and then searching any of the forum or worksheets. So you can keep that in mind. That is really handy. Tips that you can note it down. So it is an official form that does all the transfers between spouse and common law partner in tax cycle. You can scroll it down, or you can use our little navigator at the side to jump to the second page. So you can click on here, spouse details. So we are now in spouse details section here, and which is the worksheet that we have added in. If you are not coupling a return, you need to complete this worksheet with some of the details. This includes any of the information that might need to be claimed on John's return, and you know about Mavis. So income and the amounts that need to be included, and then there is also information on the second page of this worksheet about non-resident or part year resident. All right, so I wanted to point this out before we coupled the return because it comes up sometimes. So if you need this and you're not coupling in return, find out the Schedule 2 worksheet. It's on the second page of the Schedule 2, and you can go through that information. Now, in my case, though, I actually want to couple this return, and it's pretty easy to do that. So I am going to go at the top, and if I click on that at the top and click on Mavis, it will open a dialog box for me. But there is two options that I can show you. That at the top, at the home menu, you can see that there is a drop down for taxpayer. You can click on Mavis at here as well, or you can click on switch to spouse. But before that, there is another keyboard shortcut that I would like to mention, which I will be using a lot, and I see that a lot of people find it really helpful. That is F5. So as soon as I hit F5, this is the dialog box that have opened. So it is asking me that if I want to create a return for Mavis, or if I want to if I have existing return for me, I am just going to create a Mavis return. So I'm going to just select that and click OK. So now I have two people in this file. How do I know this? From the top here, you can see I have a John's return, I have a Mavis return. And I can look at my ways of switching between two people. As I mentioned, F5, remember that will take you to the same form on the other return. So if I am on the info worksheet, and if I hit F5, it will take me to the John's return or the other spouse return on the same worksheet. So it's really useful. Now, other ways, if you're not so much keyboard person and you can use those drop downs, as I mentioned, you can use the same way. You can click on that and you can jump between the returns, or you can go at the top at the home menu and then click on switch spouse. Now, there are a lot of ways to move between husband and wife, or principal, taxpayer, and spouse. So once these files are coupled, a couple of things that happens. First of all, I am going to add a social insurance number for Mavis here. So let's do that. So let's generate a new one. And I'm going to enter some of the information for her here. So this citizen and email. So we have some of the information for her. So what I want to mention is that this information is shared back and forth. So if I hit F5 now, we are in John's return on info worksheet, and as you can see that we got her social insurance number shared here as well. So everything that we will do, it will be shared between both spouse returns, and there is no more errors down here, and it is starting to share information as you expect. So let's add a bit more information. Let's add an address here really quickly. So let's say they're living here, and then it could be Calgary, and then province could be Alberta, and then it could be T2, and so this is the postal code. So we got that here. And if I go again to hit F5, you can see that for Mavis, we got that address as well. And one thing I want to mention is that if we want to go ahead and save these, so we're gonna go ahead. So before that, you can save it from the quick toolbar from here as well, quick access toolbars, or we can click on File and then click on Save here. But I want to mention here that you can actually look at both returns here, and you have the ability to track the workflow for each person separately. So if you're waiting for something from John but not for Mavis, you can just check mark for John here at the top, and then you can leave it for Mavis. So anything that you see that you can, if maybe you are looking for a signature from John, or maybe you got already a signature from John, or you are looking or waiting from on Mavis, so you can check it off accordingly separately and manage them separately. And then when I can click on Save As, and then it will actually save using both people's name here based on your settings, and we will take a look at that later as well. And then I'm gonna hit save, and we do have a replacing with this name, so we're gonna replace that file because we had that file with the similar name. If that is something different, we would like to give a different name to that file. So I don't want to worry about that right now. So now John, and so right now we have a file with John and Mavis, and this is where things start to get interesting. Now, John and Mavis have some kids, and this is where we need to talk about how you want to enter this information. So how you want to handle a dependent in the return. So first of all, I am going to show you how to enter dependent information in the return without completing a full return for the dependent. And where you do that is on the dependent worksheet. So again, F4 and then dependent, hit enter. So we got a dependent worksheet here. So now what we want to do is what I want to mention here is dependent worksheets are shared between the principal, taxpayer, and the spouse. So the information will be same in both returns when you are coupled. So we're gonna give this dependent a name, James Smith, and we want to make it as son, and let's give date of birth to him. So now let's say dependent, but still almost done being dependent, hopefully, probably a student here. So I have got this dependent worksheet for James. And then if you want to create another one, I am just going to jump over and show you this. I am going to hit F5. So now, right now, we are in Mavis return, and we got created a dependent worksheet for James. And if I hit F5, you will see that John Smith, and we got James Smith as a son of the John. So we got that worksheet in John's return as well. So as I mentioned earlier, that these worksheets are being shared. Now let's create another worksheet, another dependent worksheet. So we can do that from here. Lola. and then we can have a relationship. Maybe she's a little young, 2012. So we're good with this information, and this information is really important for tax cycle to be able to know what to do with this dependent. So now I have two dependents in the file, two separate worksheets. They appear separately in the worksheet category in the sidebar, so you can see where they are. They also now appear under this special menu at the top of the list, where you can see all the family or all the possible people in the file. So you can also look at that under the home icon, and you can see home menu, and then you have a taxpayer, and from there you can use the drop down arrow. You will be able to see all the people in the return. So you have John, Mavis, and their two kids, James and Lola. And now John, as I want to show you from here, that John and Mavis have a color in the background of their icon, and that means their full return. So James and Lola have a white background with plus sign, which means that they are just on worksheet. They are gonna move in or show you how that can change here in a little bit. So these two returns are not full returns. These are just the dependent worksheets that they have right now. So that's why we have a plus sign on there. So first off, I want to show you something, a few more things about dependent related worksheet and the forms before we get to creating a full dependent return. So let's go to James dependent worksheet here. We will look at the worksheet, and if I scroll it down, you can see that there is a way that you can indicate things like if it is eligible dependent, or if they want to claim a disability amount, and then the calculations occur for you both in federal and provincial. So in James' case, he actually in school, but we are not preparing his return right now. He's been allowed to transfer his 5,000 of his tuition over to his mom and dad. So we can enter that in here. And I'm going to show you, once we create a full return for James, what happens to this worksheet and how it's changed. So I would like you to pay attention on this. So I can enter that tuition amount in here. So we can put in 5,000. So it will be transferred to John, just so you know. And if I scroll down a little bit, you have same possibilities for some disability amount transfer and other amounts. Now let's look at a couple of other worksheets. You have noticed on the sidebar here, we have a dependent expenses here. So this is where you can enter expenses for all children that are related to return. So if I have more than one child with childcare expense, I can enter them all in here, and it will flow in the right place. So if Lola's in before or after school care, let's pick Lola here, and then maybe he's paying 7,000 for that yearly. And then again, let's say Lola has been gone to a camp for 2 weeks. I'm not sure how much the price is going for that, but let's pick 1,000 here. So we got that in here, and I have entered that information. So I could also enter it if I wanted on T778, again F4 T778, which is the childcare expenses deduction. And you will see that what information we have put in here as dependent expense, it will flow in this form here as well. So we got that information. It is shared table. So okay, so that's the dependent expense. And now there is one other worksheet or summary that I want to show you. You can take a look at is dependent credit dependent credit summary. So that is something, again, we can use our F4, and you can see that this is something dependent credit summary. So right now you can't see anything, no information or no credits that have been claimed or transferred in the return. So now one of the things we want to do here is, the reason why we're not seeing anything is because I don't actually have any revenue or any income for John. So let's put employment income for John. So F4 T4, and let's say that he is working at Oliver Electric and he is making good money, and then suggested, and he's deducting CPP, EI is deducted as well, and he is paying some income tax as well. So we got T4 here, and now when we want to go in the dependent credit summary again, so you can see that now we got a 5,000 credit. Now we can see it's actually getting claimed. So sometimes some of your claims won't appear obviously until they need to, and that will lead us to optimization in a minute. Now let's go back to the James dependent worksheet. So now we are in James dependent worksheet, and you want to create a full return for James because he got a little bit of income. He wants to figure out and use his own credits and get a file for him. So you need to create a full return for him. So that is something you can do from the drop down here, and you can click on here. And from here, it will ask you that if you want to just simply um, if you want to just jump to a dependent worksheet for James, or if you want to create a new return or open an existing return. For now, I want to create a new return for James, and then it does its magic. So now we have clicked on that, and it takes the information over into this full return for James. So I'm going to generate this thing here, and then you will see that the full fledged, you can see that there is the return that has been created. There is no more plus sign, so we have a full return, and then we can put information yes, and then we can say he's a single. And now let's say he got a little bit of income, so we're gonna go again F4 T4 and then hit enter. So let's say he's working on coffee shop as a part-time while he was in school. He's working after hour work. So coffee shop, he got some 6,000. As you enter, EI has been deducted, and then also some tax has been deducted. Now we have a T4 for him, and in this case, I am actually going to enter the tuition directly on the James return. So what I'm going to do here is that we're going to try F4 and then T2202, and we got this. Now, so I have this tuition certificate. This is where I can enter the details. But I just want to quickly run back to John's entry on dependent worksheet, and I will notice that now James has lost that information, because if you remember, we had that information, tuition credits. So we will go into John's return, and then we have a dependent worksheet for James. And then if we go down, if you remember that, so as you can see under tuition, we had 5,000 here. Now we don't have that information because we have a proper full return for James. So now it's looking for that on entry on James return actually. So now the calculations are starting to talk to each other. So I'm going to imagine that. Let's go back to James return for this, and then we're going to enter all that information here. And let's say, imagine that tuition might be for 8 months. And let's say 8 months here. And then he's a full-time. And then 12,000 is the amount. So now if we go back to John's return here, you see that under dependent worksheet for James, under John's return, we got that 5,000 credits back. So 5,000 maximum claim that you can have in tax cycle. So now tax cycle has taken care of that transfer from the child up to parents return. So this is how tax cycle works, and it makes it really easy for you to work with the returns when you are creating a coupled return or when you're creating a dependent return. Sometimes we have a questions about when you want to do a full return versus dependent worksheet. Really, you need to do it when you want to want to file a tax return for dependent. That is number one reason to do it. It allows you obviously to see more detailed the calculations rather than just entering the amounts as well. I am going to show you something here briefly as well related to this. So I'm going to add one more dependent in here. So what we're going to do is dependent, and then we will make that, uh, we will give her a name, Mabel Smith, and then we will make it appearance. Let's say she's John's mother living in the in-law suite. Apparently, she was certainly not born in a recent time, so we can give her birth date of this, and then we will generate a SID number a little bit later. So this is all that, and now what we want to do is. Um, she just need help, a little help from her children, so she is dependent as well, and we are going to claim amount, disability amounts for her as well from here. So all of that and a few other pieces of information. I'm not going to worry too much about things right now, and we're going to decide that we need to prepare Mabel's return because her pension income is such that we want to do a little bit more on his return. So let's do that similar way, create a return. Okay. And then we have a Mabel's return right now. And then she has her social insurance number. We're going to generate that. It's there. And then we can give her a title here. And tax cycle is smart enough that it takes some of its this data. So it says that it looks like it looks at the things like address. If they are dependent, they on the same address as principal taxpayer, and give you a warning if not. Are they living with taxpayer? That kind of things. So I wanted to show you that, and I also want to show you that you can actually have married dependents in the return, have the data flow between those married dependents. And I am going to add one more dependent, and I'm going to create a new return for that. But before that, let's hit the status to married here, and then we can create another work dependent, or we can just create a dependent worksheet, and we can give a name to the dependent, and then it's Otis, and then we can make him a parent. We can assume that he's a father of John, and let's make him a similar age of his wife. So we are good with this. So now we have given all this information. So one big thing that would come up now is how to make sure that the calculation between Mabel and Otis have behaving like a coupled returns. Before that, let's make this worksheet as a new return. So now we have that, and let's generate a SIN number, Mr. And we can mark him as married. So I have put really basic information, and you can see that all of the other information is flowing and being shared between them. So we have made Otis as a parent and also Mabel as a parent, but there is no link between them right now, between the two returns. As you can see at the bottom under spouse, they don't know, tax cycle doesn't know simply that if they are related, but somehow he just know that that they are related to John as a two dependents. So what we can do is it's all comes down to social insurance number. So if you need to do this, you just need to grab a social insurance number for the spouse. So what I'm going to do is we will go into Mabel's return, and then we will copy Mabel's social insurance number, and then we will go back to Otis, and then under spouse, we will paste it. As soon as we enter it, you can see that it has taken over all that information from the Mabel. So now the information is being shared between them. They have anything that is related to Otis or the Mabel, it will be shared in the returns. All right. So another thing I want to mention here is that we like to switch between the dependents return because it's very important. Some people like to use to do it from here, or if you can do it with this Alt F5. So right now we are in Otis. Now we are in John's return. Again F5. We are in Baby's return, we are in James' return, and we are in Mabel's return, and we are in Otis' return. So this is the easiest way to move between the returns that are in return. All right, so this is a way that you can trigger optimization between married dependents. I want to give you one caution, though, which is something that I want to show that it pulls in a normal optimization you would expect. We don't yet handle pension splitting for married dependents. So if you need to, you can create a separate file for them and then do optimized pension splitting for them. But you can do that for principal, taxpayer, and their spouse. Okay. I want to show you quickly where you could look at optimization before it because it's important in coupled returns. So we are going to use again F4 optimization. So here we are. If you haven't seen it before, optimization worksheet. At the top, you can set a goal for the optimization, how you would like it to occur in each return. There is also default in options. I will show you later how you can do that. And if I scroll it down, you can see that there is a different section for different credits and claims that you can make, and tax cycle will summarize them here. And if you got a medical expense, you will see that here as well. And even you will see there is Manitoba credits, which is interesting as well. So I'm going to show you that if you have a little bit of medical expense on this return, how we can create it. So F4 again, medical. You can see that medical expense here. We can create medical expense for that. And let's say here it's 2022. I am doing this on purpose. And name of the patient, maybe John. He spent maybe 2,500. And then maybe we have another person. And maybe it's James. It's 1,500. So all of that. So I have done this on purpose. I have put this on purpose. So what I want to show you is that it's warning me now. I have an ethical expense that falls out of the specific claim period. So I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you what happens on optimization. So under optimization in medical expense, you can see that I have few options here that how I want to do this, because I have some unclaimed expenses from the prior year that I did not include that falls out of the calendar year. I can choose how I want to claim this information. Do I want to use the oldest first, or period with the highest claim, which happens to be the same thing, or do I want to carry forward maximum? So I can change that here as ever I want, and a good thing to know that as well. Now here I would like to mention that this is where you can get your pension splitting, and if you don't want to use optimization, you can simply select not to use optimization. But if you do not want to, you need to sign this off. Otherwise, you would like to remove this override to get back to the original or default setting. Okay, so now before I get into my next part, I would like to just tell you a little bit about a reminder of what will happen if you carry forward a return from some other product than tax cycle. In general, carry forward or what I would like to do is, so let's close this here, and then in tax cycle, all of these taxpayers as we have created today actually resides in the same file. So if you're coming from profile, for example, you know all that family linking to there, you keep separate files and links between those files. So in tax cycle, this might be a change. So I think other products do it like we do as well, but I would just wanted to point that out. And where this becomes important is when you are carry forwarding from profile. If you have got a family linked set of files, you need to carry forward them all and save them and then put them together. So let's see that we have a family here that I want to show you. That's a Lee family. So we are assuming that we have already converted those files. We have already got those files into tax cycle from the profile. And then I'm going to open those files here. And then I'm going to go into the second. So what I want to show you is this here. So I'm hoping that you can see it. So as you can see that we have Thomas Lee's family here, Kim, Monica, but Eric as a dependent, but we got Eric as Eric's return on the side as a separate return on the file as well. So let's close this because we don't need it as I have already saved these files. What I want to show you is that if we need to link the files in tax cycle, I'm going to go in here at the top and then click on Eric, and now it is going to show me that that if I want to open an existing file, existing return for Eric, so I'm going to say yes, okay. There it is. I have this in my file here, so I'm going to click OK and then open it, and then it is asking me if I want to delete the old return for Eric. So I would suggest you do that because if you're linking these files, it will be in recycle bin if you delete, and but you don't want to get confused, right? You want to have your single file that is going forward, and you don't want don't accidentally carry forward and do it again next year or file the wrong return. So I am going to say yes, and now this will go away. And once I save and update, so you can see that it's done. We have Eric's return in Thomas in this Thomas's return or the file. All right, so what I wanted to why I wanted to show you, so because if you're coming from profile, you're gonna have to go through this process with any family linked files, but once you do that, then you are good to go with everything you see here today. And there are some times where you need to take a step back, where you need to, if there is a family situation changes, what's important is if you need to detach or uncouple, how you can do that. There is a couple of ways. So you can do it from here. You can see there is a light icon here that you can click on, or you can go at the home menu and click on detach. I believe there is another option in client menu. You can click on detach from there as well. So I like to do it from here. So let's say that the relationship between Thomas and Kim is now no more as it was before, and they need to separate their return. Or as soon as we click on that, it will bring us this dialog box, and it will ask or give us an option that if which of the return we want to detach, whether it's a dependent return or whether it's a spouse return. And we can, let's say we want to detach Kim's return, so we can choose it accordingly. So Kim's return detach, and as soon as we do that, it has opened Kim's return, and it is asking us to save that return separately in that particular year folder. So we're going to click save, and then now it is asking us Thomas's return to save as well. So we're going to hit save, and because we have existing file, we're going to say that just save that, and it is going to ask that to delete that return as well. So what I want to show you here, the important thing to see is now we have a Kim's return, and all of the other are added as a dependent in Kim's return, and we want to open Thomas return as well. And on the Thomas return, or in that file, we have Thomas's return, Monica's return, and Eric's return. And Kim has been there as a not a full return, just an information for her that she wasn't spouse. Now, you can do that, and you can do that for any of the dependent return as well. So now let's go back from here. What I want to show you is, let's open a file from here. I have a file prep that can take you to that can take us through the end of this webinar today. So open and return. I am hoping this is the file. Okay, perfect. This is the one. So this is similar to what we have created. Thomas Sims, he's the principal taxpayer, and he has family return. So he has similarly dependent returns and the spouse return in the file. That's perfect. And also, I'm going to show you a few things here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to right click on here and collapse all the sections. And this is what I want to show you quickly. Here is all the summaries. And you can see there is a family summary where you can see all the full taxpayers in the file, and gives you a chance to review the amounts and credits. So this is a great place to review. And if you want to use the review marks, you can do that from here as well. It is a great place if you want to check it. If you want to sign it off any of the marks or anything, you can do that. This can be handy. And we have a family long summary as well. If you want to see null fields, that is there. There is a joint summary. There is a joint long summary that behaves the same way. So that can help you what you need when you are doing your review or communicating to your client. However you prefer, you can do that here. And then we have under correspondence section, there is the client letters that are available. And then there is the client letter that is referring to the client, principal taxpayer. And then we have a joint client letter as well that is referring to both a principal taxpayer as well as spouse. And then I want to quickly mention about the billing. Here you have a client invoicing. If you don't know anything about billing and invoicing, we had a webinar. You can watch on demand webinar that is available on our website. And then we have a family. Before that, we have a joint invoice that is that will show you the charges for both partners on the file. And then there is a family invoice that will show you or covers everybody's charges for the return into consolidated into one single invoice. So you can see all of that in here. Now I want to mention here another thing is that is options. So if you go at the top, and then I am using my options profile, I'm going to click on make or link to make changes. Under T1, you can see under general, one thing that everybody would like to know or people like to set is color, and you can set or change the color from here as well. And I have a blue, green, and purple for principal taxpayer, partner, and dependent, and also color by gender. And then we have a file naming. That is something you can set as a default file naming format for tax cycle files. And it depends that if you want to see a taxpayer name, and you can see there is a year and the last name and principal name, or if they have a partner, that will be shown. Or if you want to see a social insurance number, or if you want to only see a social insurance number, you can opt or choose it accordingly. And then we have a new file where you can set some defaults for your new files or new file worksheet. So for example, in optimization, you can set your default here, or if you have clients that are coming from one particular province or city, you can choose it from here. That's going to help you in or that will help you minimizing your data entry. Now what I want to quickly show you is that if you want to transmit in a family, how you can do that, and if you want to print in a family, how you can do that. So there is two options. So you can go at the top, you can hit transmit family and print family from here, or you can go into file and then you can hit transmit family or print family. So if you hit family, a transmit family, and then you will be able to see all the members or the taxpayers that are available in the return. So you're gonna be able to see that if there is anything that you need to complete, and you can also confirm that if all the outstanding signatures on the transmissions are done, so you can confirm for all of them in here, and you can check off all the taxpayers here for which you want to transmit your return. So as soon as you do that, you can click on transmit, and you can click on transmit now for all the taxpayers, and it will be transmitted like that. And you can see that it is going to transmission is successful. You will be able to see the status is updated right away. And then we have a print PDF family. So if you want to print for the entire family, you can do that. So you can scroll straight to the right to see all the taxpayers in the return. So you can select or unselect any of the print sets or the forms for that are available in that particular print set. You can check or uncheck any of the form from here that you want to include or exclude it from the printing job. So once you are happy with the selection, you can click on print selected here. It will print it for you, and it will be done in the background. So that is something that I wanted to cover today. And before I let you go, I want to mention that we do have resources available on our website. So this is our website for the resources. You can type in any of the question related to family return. So if as soon as you hit family, you will be able to get all the resources that are available related to family returns, whether it's a video or the article help topics. And you can also reach out to our support team as well at support@taxcycle.com. That is all, everyone. Thank you for your attention and for joining me today. Happy tax season.